Takahashi in the lead, Benjamin in the chase.
Gets a good start out of that starting box, coming to outer zone 1. Does a good job. Outer zone 1 gets right on his door for outer zone 2. Cuts the line just a little bit, but dives right in there. Coming around to this touch and go. Does a nice job of that touch and go and transitions for outer zone 4. It looks like he transitioned a little early.
Throwing angle through all the zones. Now switching positions, Benjamin in the lead and Takahashi in the chase.
Head into this first outer zone. Does a nice job getting to outer zone 1. Takahashi falls a little bit behind, making his way back into that pocket. Getting a little left at this touch and go, but tries to catch up right at the end. Does a nice job just staying right there with him.
With 441 BW Academy, and we have car number 888, Jamakin. And he's with Freestyle, Lauderdale Racing, and Kenda.
Both heading to this first outer zone with a lot of speed. There's a lot of angle coming to outer zone 2. Getting a little left behind. Comes around to outer zone 3. He's now really far behind, trying to catch up. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
You know, switching positions, we have John McKinnon in the lead and Jason in the chase.
Head into this first outer zone. A big flick into outer zone 1. Dives a little too, takes a shallow approach, dives a little bit too much, had to drop back. Now he's getting right on his door. Does a good job. Stays right there at his door all the way through that touch and go. And then does even a better job, gives him a little love tap right at the end.
Up next we have car number 774, Hokuto Matsuyama, Kusuka Racing in the lead, and in the chase we have Meguro with Ishii 55X in Origin.
Real deep in the second outer zone, losing his bumper, comes around to outer zone 3. Getting a little left behind with that touch and go, trying to catch up right there at the end.
But appears to have cleared itself out.
Heading to this first outer zone. There's a good flick. It's a lot of angle, puts it right there next to him, coming around. This outer zone 3. Using all of that angle, trying to stay with him on this touch and go. Does a good job coming around to outer zone 4. Heading to this first outer zone, doing a lot of speed. With a massive flick into outer zone 1. Chase car is diving, trying to dive in. And outer zone 3. Looks like he's staying right there with him, coming around this touch and go. And gets right in that pocket in outer zone 4.
Now we're switching positions. OA in the lead and Jerry in the chase.
Heading to this first outer zone. It's a nice job getting into outer zone 1. Jerry gets right there on his door for outer zone 2. Give him a chance to transition, dives right in, and then oh no, he spins out. his run.
Car number 31, Jason Ye with 441 BW Academy in the lead, and in the chase we have Jamakin with Freestyle, Lauda Racing, and Kendo.
Around this first outer zone, nice job deep into outer zone 1. Does a good job in outer zone 2. Comes around to outer zone 3, falling a little bit behind, going off track, trying to catch up around this touch and go, and then just finishes off in outer zone 4.
Now John McKinnon in the lead, and Jason Ye in the chase.
Heading to this first outer zone. A little shallow in outer zone 1. Comes around, does a nice job with 2. Jason kind of dives in. He almost parks it, but stays with it. Does a great job of that touch and go, staying right there on his door. Comes around to outer zone 4. And gives him a little love tap as they both spin out.
We have car number 77, Yusuke Kusaba with Cusco Racing, and car number 903, Yuichi Amagai with Perfect Style.
Making their way to this first outer zone with a big flick in deep in outer zone. Comes around for outer zone 3, just dives in. Looks like he's going straight to lock though. Loses a little bit of distance between each other. Comes around to touch and go. Sacrifices a little bit of the line.
Now switching positions, we have Amagai in the lead, Kusaba in the chase.
Making the way to this first outer zone. Does a nice job getting to outer zone 1. Kusaba trying to stay right there with him. Coming around to outer zone 3. Gets right there on his door and just holding it. Coming around with his touch and go. Does a nice job of that touch and go around outer zone 4. Just stays right there with him the whole time.
Then we're going back to our one more time with Matsuyama in the lead with Cusco Racing, and Meguro in the chase with Ishin 55X Origin Lab.
Making their way to this outer zone 1. Does a nice job flicking into outer zone 1. Comes around to outer zone 2. Staying right there with them. Trying to dive in on outer zone 3, and he goes off track. And it's throwing him offline. Now he's trying to catch up. And they finish, and he spins out again.
But now we got Meguro in the lead and Matsuyama in the chase.
He's probably going to try to do a killer lead run, maybe to
hopefully pull out the win.
Yeah, maybe knock Matsuyama off his game. And coming around to this first outer zone 1, Matsuyama does a nice job staying right there. Around to outer zone 3. Oh, Matsuyama goes off track just a little bit. Let's see if he can stay with it.
Oh, it looked like something happened coming out of zone 3 for Meguro. It looks like during practice something happened to Matsuyama's car, and he's going to be retired. So this will be Masanori Kohashi on a bye run with Team Orange. That was one of the battles I was looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. Masanori coming in this first outer zone with a lot of angle coming into outer zone 2. Makes his way to outer zone 3. Does a great job in outer zone 3. Does a good job in that touch and go. Comes around to outer zone 4. Gets all of outer zone 4. Just showing.
Up next, we have car number 947, Jake Jones, Drift Squid in the lead. And in the chase, we have car number 610, Kei Murakami with Evangelion Racing.
Making their way to this first outer zone. They did a nice job getting to that outer zone 1. Did a good job in outer zone 2. Oh, goes off all the way off track.
So then we have Murakami in the lead and Jake Jones in the chase.
Making their way to this first outer zone. Jake does a good job diving in on him on outer zone 2, around outer zone 3. And he just straightens out, and Jake's gonna finish his run. Get some more practice in. It sounds like something ain't right with that car.
Yeah. Up next, we have car number 131, Yuma, with Team Orange Jr. in the lead. In the chase, we have car number 45, S. Chantapong, with Nexter D-Max Racing.
Making their way to this first outer zone. Yuma does a nice job. Flick deep into outer zone 1. S does a great job getting right on his door in outer zone 2. Dives back in for outer zone 3. Staying right there with him. Does a good job around this touch and go. With a lot of angle. Comes around for outer zone 4 and stays right there with him.
So we have S in the lead and Yuma in the chase.
Making their way to outer zone 1. A lot of speed. S does a great job getting into outer zone 1. Ruma staying right there with him. Coming around to outer zone 3. Ruma's getting right on his door, diving right there with him. Making their way to this touch and go. And Ruma just puts it right there.
We have car number 21, King Gushi with Team Kazama in the lead and in the chase. Tomoki Tanaka with VSR Kumamoto. Time to get the right side of the bracket started.
They're making their way to this first outer zone. King Gushi with a big flick into outer zone 1. Comes around outer zone 2. Does a nice job at outer zone 2. Gets right on his door and falls off track just a little bit, falling behind. Coming around to this touch and go. Trying to catch up around for this outer zone 4.
If you click the link.
Get a clean start, making their way to outer zone 1. King Gushi does a nice job getting right there on his door. Leaves him just enough room to transition and gets right there next to him. Staying right there his front tires, making their way to outer zone. This touch and go, does a nice job of the touch and go. And just stays right there in that pocket through outer zone 4. BMWs battling each other, coming around to this first outer zone. With a big flick into outer zone 1. Misses outer zone 2, comes around to outer zone 3. Staying right there with him through outer zone 3. Does a nice job at touch and go, falling a little bit behind, trying to catch up through outer zone 4.
Now flipping positions, we're going to have Matsui in the lead and Zhang in the chase.
Coming around this first outer zone. Does a nice job getting right there on him for outer zone 2. Falls a little bit behind and wavers a little bit. Comes around to outer zone 3, right there on his door. Falling a little bit behind in this touch and go. But does a good job coming around to outer zone 4 and puts it right there next to his door.
Up next, we have car number 771, Hiroya Minoa with Team Cusco. And we have car number 13 in the chase, Mikey Nakamura with Mikey Racing.
This is a battle I'm very excited for. Coming into this first outer zone. Mikey throwing a lot of angle, getting right there on his door in outer zone 2. Makes their way to outer zone 3. Mikey sacrificing a little bit of line. Getting right there close to him. Does a nice job of that touch and go. And then Mikey stays right there with him in outer zone 4.
Another back at the line with Mikey in the lead and Hiroya in the chase.
I'm expecting a lot of angle from Mikey coming into this first outer zone. It's a lot of angle into outer zone 2. Manoa doing a great job getting right there into the pocket on outer zone 3, making their way to this touch and go. Staying right there with him. He comes around to outer zone 4. And Manoa's showing him he's not going anywhere.
Looks like we have car number 144, Mr. Daniel with CBR, Cheeseburger Racing in the lead, and in the chase, Jin Harino with TSA Motorsports Toyo Tires.
Coming into this first outer zone, Jin does a nice job staying right there with him on outer zone 2. Has a little waiver coming into outer zone 3. Does a nice job staying right there with Daniel. This touch and go does a good job. Jin has a weird line coming in after that touch and go.
And now we're going to have Jin Harino in the lead and Mr. Daniel in the chase.
You see he's a little far back trying to get a catch up, run up for this first outer zone. Daniel doing a nice job staying right there with him. Dives in on and it spins out. Oh no. Jin's gonna finish his run out.
Okay, next up, we have car number 61, Mao Yamanaka with Good Ride Motorsports in the lead. And in the chase, we have Yoshitatsu Kaneda with Cusco Racing.
Making their way to outer zone 1 with a big flick to outer zone 1. Getting right there in the pocket in outer zone 2. Comes around to outer zone 3. Staying right there with them. Coming around to this touch and go. And transitions to outer zone 4 and puts it right there into that pocket.
And now pulling back up to the line, switching positions. We have Kaneda in the lead and Yamanaka in the chase.
Making their way to outer zone 1. Does a good job getting into outer zone 1. Going right there on his door for outer zone 2. Coming around to outer zone 3. Just staying right there in that pocket. Falling a little bit behind on that touch and go. Comes around for outer zone 4 and stays right there. Yeah.
Be going to the next round or going home.
Especially being that close.
We have car number 37, Yoichi Yamashita in the lead, TMS Team 55X, and Daigo Saito in the chase.
Getting right there on his door for outer zone 2, and then falls a little bit behind coming to outer zone 3, but shallows up to get right there for this touch and go. Making their way to outer zone 4.
Daigo with Fat 5 Racing in the lead, and Yamashita with PMS in the chase.
Making their way to this first outer zone. Daigo does a good job with a lot of angle. Going to outer zone 2. Yamashita trying to keep up in outer zone 3. They make their way to the touch and go. Yamashita staying right there with a close transition going to outer zone
4. And up next we have car number 555, Yukio Fausto, Mini GT with Liberty Walk in the lead. In the chase, Harry Yoza with Harry's Alto.
Coming into this first outer zone, Fausto does a good job with a lot of angle. Harry does a good job coming around, trying to catch up to this outer zone and goes off track just a little bit. Now trying to play catch up, coming around to outer zone 4.
Now switching positions. We have car number 43. Harry Yoza with Harry's Auto with Hayosho Dinyo with Fat 5, or no, 5X tires. And Fausto in the chase.
Coming around, Fausto does a nice job just being nice and conservative coming around to outer zone 3. Giving them enough space. Trying to play catch up ball for this touch and go as they make their way to outer zone 4. Oh
no! Up next in the lead, we have car number 9, Kiyofumi Hamada with H9 Racing with Valino versus car number 19, Echo Gal with Pop Race 1087X with Evangeline Racing.
Come around this first outer zone. Echo does a nice job getting right there in the pocket in outer zone 2, getting a little love tap. Transitions to outer zone 3. Gets right back into the pocket. Staying together for this touch and go. Comes around to outer zone 4. Oh no! That was a really hard transition. I don't think she just...
Look at her wheel.
Yeah, he did a really hard transition in that lead, and I think it just threw her off the line.
And we have Echo Gal in the lead and Hamada in the chase. This is the second round.
Making their way to this first outer zone. Hamada being nice and safe, keeping some distance. Coming around to outer zone 3, trying to get in that pocket. Doing a nice job, nice controlled job. Coming around this touch and go. He finishes off. He has a nice conservative run.